Good evening. Hope everybody's well. I'll tell you what, I'm back on my phone because Jesus Christ, I've had some right faff tonight. StreamYard. Tonight's live stream is a bit of a special one. What I'm doing tonight is something called a Spotlight Star. And that's with a good friend of mine who's just waiting in the wings at the minute, and that's Robert. I did try and chat to Robert a little bit earlier on the laptop, but that certainly wasn't going according to plan. So we've reverted back to the phone, which means unfortunately I can't use the images. I don't know whether it's because it's an old laptop or what. It seemed that the signal strength was adequate on both my side and Rob's side. Don't forget, Rob's all the way over in Canada. The signal strength seemed quite all right, but for some reason through StreamYard it would not let me share my screen, which is obviously it's an important thing to do. So tonight's special guest, I can see him hanging about there. He's waiting in the wings. Without further ado, the head of Model Makers Union all the way over in Canada, Mr. Robert Adams. And good evening, sir. Right, first thing I'm going to do, I don't know if you heard any of that.
Yeah, I heard it all.
I thought you might have done, actually. Welcome, good evening, and welcome. First thing I'm going to do, mate, is turn my phone on its side so that hopefully I get a little better picture. Okay. So the purpose of tonight was actually to do a little bit of a test for me with that Facebook overlay, but also to do a Spotlight Star because how long have I been threatening to do this, Rob? Months.
Oh, I'd say a couple of years now.
Couple of years, easy.
I think
so. One of the things that we do down at Sesco and Emsworth Community Scale Model Club is we do a thing called Spotlight Star, and we've always done it down at club, and that's where I can sit with the lads and the ladies, of course, and we chat about modelling and where it all began, etc., etc. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do with Rob tonight. However, in the meantime, a warm welcome to Rob. Now, on my screen, I can see comments. So if you've got any comments, add your comment on. I've got quite a few questions that I'm going to go through with Rob, but because this is like the first interactive Spotlight Star, I'll be able to sort of sift through any of the comments that are questions. If you've got any comments, any questions in particular that you want to ask Rob, then feel free to pop a comment on. Keep it decent, boys and girls. And if it's all right, you know, if there's a question there to be had, then I'll add it. Okay, so this is your life. I've got my little black book. So, Rob, what we're going to do is we're going to kick off with what you're doing now, mate. What are you building now?
I started I call it Mini Art Madness this year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
A little tractor with a trailer and a whole bunch of guys. I want to start learning how to paint figures in a decent way. So this kit came with like 9 or something. So plenty to practice with there. Also supporting the Ukraine, you know, all of that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
It's mini art, very small, very fiddly, lots of tiny little parts on it, you know.
But you do enjoy that detailing part of the hobby, though, don't you, Rob? You really get into the crux of all that weathering and stuff.
Yeah. By fiddly, it's self-punishment, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I've seen some of your previous work, mate, and I do know that you like to do a little bit of detail. Just going to exit my full screen and sift across and let me see if... So we've got 10 people watching us at the moment then, Rob, and we've got Jeff Light that says, good evening, Mark and Rob, and good evening, Jeff. Thanks for tuning in. And Dave Housecroft. Dave's on. Dave's watching.
Hey, Dave.
Hiya, Dave. Dave's feeling a little bit under the weather, but as I said, make sure that you tune in, and he has done as the lad. Okay, don't forget, guys, if you've got any questions that you want to ask Rob, definitely not me. Don't ask me a thing. I can pass them on to Rob. Robert, modelling. So we know what's on the bench now. Okay, and I'm absolutely wet through. We know what's on the bench now. Before we talk about things like Freddie and flankers and things like that, let's just head back in the mists of time. Good evening, Mark. Let's just head back into the mists of time from when you were a wee boy. And the question, obviously, that I'm going to ask is, where did it all start? How old were you? Can you remember? And do you come from not a family of modelers, but did anybody else in your family do it and you've latched onto it, mate?
Family-wise, no. Nobody in my family does it. As a matter of fact, my brother was a little upset at me because I used to be an artist. Like, I draw a lot, right?
Yeah.
And once I discovered modeling and I could do my art in the third dimension, that's where I took off with it. He now has soon, but he was for a long time that I didn't pursue that. But no, it actually started. I spent a lot of my childhood grounded to my room, and so
right, okay.
And so any mark below a C that I got in school gave me a month worth of grounding. So I learned pretty quick that I should probably engage myself. In the meantime, my dad decided that I could do whatever I wanted in my room. I just wasn't allowed. No TV, just come out. That's it. So he bought me a model car. It was a 1958 Thunderbird. And that was back in the tube glue days, all of that. So powered through it. Turned into a big puddle by the end because the glue just ate everything.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a very, very small town. So basically it was like one of those places where it's the grocery store, drugstore, post office, liquor store, all in one spot, right? So
yeah.
The only kits you could ever get there were cars. So I built cars, which is why I don't build cars anymore because I hate them.
Right.
But so no, that's kind of where it started. And then, as time goes on, you discover girls and all that kind of good stuff. But I always had a little projects on the go on the side.
So how old were you at that age? Can you remember? I know I'm asking you to really reach back into the minds there.
How old was I when I got that first model kit?
Yeah, mate.
Oh, probably 12 or so.
All right. Okay. So you're out in the town. There's not many stores around. You're literally on your own. There's none of your family doing it. Once the bug had bitten, and we're talking about the cars, did you get properly hooked into it then?
Yeah, I did. Again, didn't have the tools available or anything nowadays, right? I did get the odd modeling book here and there and just looked at the pictures and wondered how the hell do these guys do this stuff, right? Just amazing. Like, I remember seeing a guy doing a car and he had a cigarette in the ashtray and everything, right? And I've always had a fascination with things that are, miniature, right? So I was hooked. I never really gave it up, but I didn't get hardcore into it either, right? It was just pull the box out, put some pieces together, get a rattle can if you're lucky, and paint it. You know what I mean? Started off with the old Testors paints. I don't know if you guys have it over there, but you could get like this carousel that had all the paints on it and then brushes.
Not sure.
It was like a starter pack, came with everything.
Yeah.
Just the worst paintbrushes you could ever imagine. Like, you might as well use your friggin' broom that you sweep your kitchen floor with.
Right. Okay.
So,
and then go on.
And then I got back into it again in my early 20s, and then I started taking things a little bit more seriously. I had a dedicated spot. I had display shelves, all that, and then I split up with my wife, and she gave all my stuff away. Like, when I left there, I took everything I owned in the back of my truck, so it wasn't, that was a write-off. And then probably another, I don't know, 10 years went by, and here I am now, where I've gotten right into it.
When you did it as a 12-year-old, obviously, I mean, even the mindset is completely different to what we are now, because obviously we're adults now, in the loosest sense, both me and you. Once you got back into it in your 20s, can you remember the first? Obviously, you had you'd done it, you left it, you came back, so you knew what the score was. Can you remember the first kit that you got when you came back into it then, Rob, in your 20s?
I went back to cars again for the first little bit. I remember building a Plymouth Prowler, a Camaro, stuff like that. And then I believe it was a Tamiya Sherman. And that was like mind blowing to me. I was like, holy crap. Like, the detail was just amazing. And then I think I did a Merkava as well, which is still one of my favorite subjects to build. I've built several of them. Not as many Tornadoes as you've built, but
Yeah.
Okay. And then again, I kind of drifted away from it. I ended up getting into trouble with drugs, and I used modeling in order to get off of that. So I started off actually buying a wooden ship kit.
Yeah.
Started building that. I still have it here. It's not finished, but that's a whole nother world of modeling, the wooden ship.
Yeah.
But,
okay. Right. So let me just have a look before I move on to my next question. Let's just have a look at. I've actually not got my mouse on me tonight. So Mark Little says hi, and so does Andy Brown. Good evening, Mark and Rob. Good evening. Hope you're well. Rally Car Miniatures, that's Chris. Good evening, Chris. Hi, guys. And Jeff Light is passing on that as well. Marcus Dale, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Marcus.
Good evening.
Okay. And I think that's where we're just about up to for now. Don't forget, if you've got any questions that you want to ask Rob, please feel free. So from a kid to getting into being, sort of like knowing what you're doing. So tell me about that progression, in that you can remember what you did when you were 12. You can remember coming back into it. Had much changed in those 8 years, and what new things did you start to pick up once you come back into it, Rob?
Well, for me, it was always about trying to make things realistic looking. That's as a modeler, I'm very detail oriented, and that's one of the details that I like is realism. And YouTube and everything as resources back then, it was just figure it out, right? And
yeah.
So I got frustrated because I didn't know what to do or how to do it. I knew what I wanted to do, but too afraid to ruin things or whatever.
Okay.
And so that led me into building Gundams, which
right. Okay.
Which our Bandai kits are just friggin' amazing. But anyways, so I've got two full shelves full of Gundams. Anybody that doesn't know what a Bandai kit is, it's basically you cut out your own Lego and put it together. It's pretty sweet. I mean, it's better than Lego, obviously, but
are those the pre-painted ones, Rob, or do you still have to do a bit of painting there?
You can do it either way. So, A, you don't need glue.
Right.
B, their engineering is very thoughtful and everything. So most sprue gates and things are in places that are hidden, etc.
Yeah.
They move, so you can pose them however you like.
Yeah.
Pretty fun. That's kind of where I got started into trying to. Well, actually, you're the one that got me started in trying to take decent photos. But
yeah.
So I got on with that, and then I was like, yeah, I kind of want to, after you build 20 of them, you're kind of like, something new, right? So
yeah.
Then I bought myself a 1/32 scale F-14.
a 1/32 scale F14. That a Tamiya, a Revel,
That's a trumpeter kit.
a trumpeter kit.
Yeah.
And how did that go?
It went for shit.
Right.
It really, really pissed me off to the point where I got turned right off of modeling for about a year. It sat there. Almost.
One kit sapped the life out of you.
Yeah. I think it was just more than I was in. It was better than my skill level at the time, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't stop wanting to build models. I didn't stop watching YouTube on how to do it. I just fucking didn't want to do it. So
yeah.
Then one day I just decided, you know what, I'm going to finish this thing. And literally it was over a weekend and it was done. And,
right.
And I haven't looked back ever since. I've been gung-ho. It's still one of my favorite models. It's sitting right there.
Okay.
Just because of the heartache and everything that took place to get it to go together. But, that model is.
I had the privilege of going out for dinner last night with Dave House and nipped down to Dave's before we went out for tea. There were a bunch of us from club went down, and Dave's done a cracking job with his workshop. And lo and behold, there it is. He's doing the Tamiya 1 in 32 F14, and I mean, I've built some big stuff. We'll get onto the Stoker in a bit. But I looked at that Tamiya F14 last night, and as soon as I saw it, I looked at Dave and I said, "Telford this year, I'm having one of them."
It's a big plane. It's big.
Yeah.
I don't know how it compares to the Tornado in 32nd, but it's
bigger.
It's bigger, yeah.
It is bigger.
I mean, that sucker 3 feet long. It's it's big.
Yeah, it's big. So we've got Mark Bridge, evening, Rob. Hope you're well. And Mark Little, thanks a lot, Mark. First question from one of the viewers, then, Rob. Mark Little, member of Sesko and Emsworth Community Scale Model Club, the club that we're at, says, "What is your preferred paint?"
My preferred paint. Well, I've got all kinds of paint, but generally speaking, I use Tamiya if I can. It's probably the most user-friendly paint out there. You can
okay.
Your leveling thinner, which makes it a whole new thing altogether. It's night and day. Also, I like the SMS. I like the MRP that you sent me. I've used it several times on different things, and that's fantastic paint too. Just not available where I'm at. So
yeah, mate. Yeah, plenty of time for that.
Yeah, and I mean, for metallics and everything, I'll go the all-clad route mostly. Mr. Hobby makes good stuff. So, and now that I'm getting into the figure painting, I've picked up some Scale 75 paints.
Never heard of that, mate.
They're really, really nice. Just like creamy nice. And you can thin them down to airbrush too. They come in tubes like an oil paint. But it's
okay. Cool. Thanks for answering that for Mark. Let's have a look. So, coming past your Gundam, so as you developed, which kits and genre took your fancy after that, mate?
Armor. I got it
straight off the bat there, armor.
Yeah, went straight to armor.
Come on then. Come on, give me some more. Why armor?
That's why armor?
Yeah.
Boys love tanks.
Boys love tanks. Boys love tanks.
Yeah, so I did, I think the first armor kit I did was the Mang D9R Bulldozer.
Beautiful.
And then I went right big after that. I went and did a 1/16 Panther full interior.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I did a 1/35th scale Panther full interior. And I haven't done any full interior since then. They're a lot of friggin' work.
Yeah, they had a lot of work. Is that where your love of detailing really started to come into play? Yeah,
and you get a good kit like that, you can detail to your heart's content, and if they've provided you detail, it's never enough, right? So you start adding this, adding that, and you want dirt to be in the corners and all that. That's all detail, right? So I think weather is probably my favorite part of anything. It's just making something look used and worn, right? So, but not too worn.
Not 2-1. Yeah. It is a shame that I am having to do this on my phone tonight because, as I said earlier on, I did do some trials on StreamYard on the laptop a couple of days ago and it went brilliant. But for some reason tonight it's playing up and on my phone, unfortunately, I can't overlay any pictures. But in fact, so let's just do a little bit of. If anybody is watching this, that is watching, following me and my channel, Rob, a quick plug on where people can find you on your social media platforms.
I'm only on two right now, but Model Makers Union on Facebook and Model Makers Union on YouTube.
Okay.
The YouTube,
not and your Facebook Model Makers Union. I'm a mod on that group for Rob because obviously we're on different sides of the Atlantic, and when Rob's asleep, I'm awake, and I can be honestly, mate, I can be at work and my phone never stops buzzing. It's like somebody wants to join MMU, another one, and some days I can let 100 people in, mate.
It's been steadily about 100 people a week right now, so which is pretty good. I mean, I remember when you and I first met, and we were both kind of fledgling in the YouTube thing and the Facebook thing. I was like, I'm never going to make 1,000. Like this is going to take forever, right? And then now we're at 7.5 thousand. So it's grown quite a bit. That's for sure.
It certainly has. Quick question then from it's actually from Ange, Mark's missus. Ange wants to know, have you ever done any Warhammer?
Yes. Yeah, I've got. I can show you one right now.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, absolutely. Live and interactive. And Andy, does Rob say? Oh, you're a star. And does Rob say decaling or decaling? But let's cover let's cover that Warhammer first. So what have you got there, mate?
Oh, this is some kind of a Tyranid. So they're kind of, I like these guys because they kind of remind me of the Aliens, from the movie Aliens.
Yeah.
But my issue with these is they're great models, but they're very expensive, right? So,
yeah.
Very expensive. This guy was like $100, right? So I kind of got out of that fairly quickly. As much as I like the models, I could buy a 30-second trumpeter kit airplane for the same price, right? So
yeah. Okay, I've got you. Mark says it's the same as mine. So back to Andy. Does Rob say decaling or decaling?
It depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to you guys, I would say decals.
Yeah, decals. Yeah.
If I'm talking to Americans, they make fun of me.
Yeah, no, let's leave that there. Okay, so obviously through your social media, you've got Facebook, you've got YouTube. I ask this question regularly to the guys that I did the Spotlight Stars with, not last year because it's actually been 12 months since I've done one. But the question is, do you, and this is a personal question, do you think that social media adds pressure to the hobby?
Adds pressure?
Yeah.
If you let it, I'd say. For me, I think it opens up a lot of doors and avenues, right? Being able to do these kinds of things, just pick a technique and watch a video about it and all that. I think it's been more helpful than hindering, that's for sure.
But what about so on Model Makers Union, 7,500 members, and not everyone is a seasoned builder, Rob. So, when I'm talking about, do you think social media adds pressure to the hobby? On a wider scale, then. So when I've said that's a personal question to you, but what about somebody that's new? We're about somebody that's been to the store, been on Amazon, eBay, whatever, bought a kit, and it's come back from back in the day when they did it as a kid, and they thought, do you know what, I'm going to build a kit. Now, people like that, people like myself, yourself, and countless other thousands of modelers, one of the first things that you do is you go onto Facebook, YouTube, TikTok these days, etc., etc., and you're looking for the thing that the kit that you've got. So, do you think social media adds pressure to that person having to try to?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say there.
You know what I mean?
They may beat themselves up over it because it's not turning out the way that they had hoped or wanted.
Yes, mate. Yeah.
And that's another reason kind of why I started the group that I did. It's not it's for all skill levels. And it's to support those people rather than bring them down, right? If it's your first model and you post it into certain groups, you'll just get torn apart. So don't do that, right? But
yeah,
and I seen so much of that I was like, you know what, that's absolute garbage. You're actually chasing people away. You're not helping them. So I wanted to help people. And that's been my sort of mantra there as well. So I don't let the pressure get to me, but I could definitely see how it could affect other people. They think, oh, I'm never going to get that good, or I can't do that, or this. And that's why I've always tried to show people it's not near as hard as you think, right? Just take your time and think about it a little bit and you'll get there. And you see modelers that are like, I've only been doing this a year and they're doing stuff that's as good as ours. You know what I mean? It's just whether they embrace it or not, right? And you don't have to either. Again, that goes back to the Bandai kits. You know, if you just want to put something together, that's your thing right there. You don't got to paint it. You don't got to do anything, but you can. So you can put as much or as little effort into it as you want and still have something that you're quite proud to show off. So
cool. Okay, so Dan Usher says afternoon all. So afternoon, Dan. So when does Rob get time to build? When do you get time to do your modeling?
Mostly the weekends. I used to get home right from work, go down to eat supper, go downstairs and stay up till
yes, you did
every night. And
every night.
Yeah, I've kind of stepped back from that a bit. I've got my kids are older; they're in sports and dance, and we have dogs that run agility and stuff. So that cuts into the building time, but it makes it more enjoyable when I actually do get to sit down and work on things.
We hooked up a couple of years since, and I think it's fair to say, Rob, that we sort of fell into it, not at the same time because you've been doing it a lot longer than me, but I think that the friendship that we had, we sort of found that the hobby manifested extremely quickly between us, that when we were chatting regularly on Messenger, when we hooked up, and we could literally set our watches by each other on, oh, it's 9 p.m. I know that Mark's going to be on Messenger. And it was same for you. I knew that you'd always be knocking around, mate. Do you think that it started to consume you a little bit?
It probably still is, yeah. I mean, I do build rooms every weekend on my page, and then every night, the Model Insanity group that I'm part of, we do build rooms every night, every single night. And it probably drives my wife absolutely friggin' bonkers because, you know, I'm on from 5 o'clock until 8, 9 o'clock sometimes. And then I'm like, Jesus, time to go to bed.
Okay, yeah, it does consume you. Okay, let's get back to personal. We've not had any more questions, so we carry on with mine, which is, what is your most treasured build and why? You've got to pick one.
I think it's my Winter Stuka. That's my favorite kit.
Really?
That's my favorite kit right now, yeah. I'm very proud of that. It was a complete experiment, the whole thing. And Well, I remember when I was laying the paint on it and I showed you guys, you and
Yeah.
were just like, holy shit, right? I was just like,
Yeah.
And that's why I bought another 1/24th. I'm going to reproduce that in bigger scale. I got a thing for like winter wash, just the dirt that you can put on it, everything, right? So for right now, that is my favorite build.
Okay, cool.
You thought I was going to say the A10, didn't you?
No, because I know that you love the A10. Let's just talk about the A10 before I go on to my next question. Let me just put a little marker there, so I know where I'm up to. The A10, that's a trumpeter kit, 1 in 32.
Yeah.
And the belly of that, some people that are watching this will go, yeah, I can remember what it looked like. Please explain what you did, why you did it, where the idea came from, what technique you used, etc., etc. Tell us about that, Rob.
Would you like to see the underside of it first, so people know?
Absolutely, mate. Most definitely. This is your show tonight. This is your show. While Rob's just popping out, then I will say yet again, thank you to everybody that's watching now and everybody that's going to watch in the future. Thank you ever so much for joining me and Rob this evening.
Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
We can hold it up to the camera a little bit closer and lift it up for us a little bit. Okay, so
this plane was done. You can't see it very well. So the underside of this plane is built like a brick wall. I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, and so even when I knew that this kit was a beast, it's not the greatest kit ever. So I had full intentions of doing this fantasy paint job on it. So it's basically based off of one of the animated sequences in Pink Floyd The Wall called Goodbye Blue Sky, which is I would say it was more a Stuka, but I just wanted to do this. So the whole underside was, I masked it the wrong way. If I did it again, I would do it completely different, knowing now what I didn't know then. But yeah, there was like 6.5 hours of masking all that brick wall off for about 10 minutes of painting, and it was over, right? And then the top side, I had custom marching hammer decals made, and decals, decals,
yeah,
and everything. And oh, she's a dusty thing, but it was, and that kind of sparked my mantra that I don't really give a shit if it's accurate or not, right? I'm just my model. I'll build it how I want, right?
Okay. Cool. Most treasure building wise, so we know what that is, but this is on the same lines, Rob, but it's slightly different. The best kit that you've built and why?
Oh boy, the best kit.
Yeah. So it might not be a favorite, right? Obviously, your Winter Stuka might have been a good kit, but as far as plastic engineering is concerned, what's the best kit that you've ever built and why?
I would say the Meng 1/9 motorcycles that I've built. Those are phenomenal kits. The engineering on those is top notch. Like it goes together. Everything goes together perfectly.
Yeah.
You don't have to mess around with the decals. If you put them in the right spot, they fit perfectly. All the carbon fiber lines up. They're very challenging. Not going to take that away from them, but
yeah.
But the fit is just, the plastic is a joy to work with.
Yeah, we're talking about no glue. Well, obviously you're going to glue it, but this kit is so good it literally does not need glue. Definitely no filler. Goes together a dream.
Yeah. Well, the bike kits, a lot of the parts are held on with screws.
Yeah.
That increases the buildability and the strength of the kit too, right? So as far as engineering and that goes, now I've got some 132 Tamiyas in the stash. I haven't built any of them yet. So I might change my tune once I get into one of those, but for now, those are probably the nicest kits I've ever built, as far as no drama. It just goes together.
No drama. I love it. No drama. And then obviously on the back of that, the worst kit that you've ever built.
There's lots of them. The worst kit.
Yeah.
I would say it's the Takom Zwilling. What the hell are they called? They're aircraft guns, twins. They're the same as what would sit on the towers in Berlin.
Yeah.
Zwilling Flak 40. That's what it is. And
yeah.
And it's a very complex, awesome looking model when it's done, but the kit itself is absolutely terrible. Don't line up. They do this, and there's so much mess around with to make it look good. All the parts were mismolded, so there was just grinding and filing and just it was. What I say is, you really got to want that on your shelf, or you're not going to get through it.
Okay, cool, good answer, mate. Good answer. Let's have a look here. So, well, I mean, daft question really, because we can see, have you got a dedicated build space? And you most certainly have a very impressive build space.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time in this room when I can. I love it down here. It's 15 by 20, so it's a good size. And I've got a dedicated area for photographing and 2 benches for building, so I can have 2 different builds on the go at the same time. The one that I'm sitting at right now is actually, I put this in here so that I could work on Bismarck and not affect everything else. But I haven't started Bismarck yet.
No.
And probably won't for a while yet. That's my retirement kit.
Okay. Which sort of leads me on to the next question, really, which is, what do you do with your finished builds? But, well, I know. But cabinets galore, I think, Rob, haven't you?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cabinets, yes. And then some shelving, and my kids taken some of my overflow into the other room. And I've sold a few. Some people have bought a few off of me. Do a little bit of commission work here and there, and I rescue models too. So there's a guy at our club that he just builds them and then just gives them away, or he bins them. He's a very good guy. Bins them, and I'm like, yo, you're not binning that. I'll take it home. So I've got like a whole 2 shelves in one of my display cases is all his work.
Right.
I'd rather not see it go into the bin.
Okay, that is a bit strange, but
yeah, especially when you build the bigger aircraft like I like to build and stuff like that, it starts to consume space pretty quick. But they're jammed in there for now, and then whatever, I'll give stuff away too. I don't even care. Once the build is done and everything, I've gotten the fun out of it. Once it's gone to the show, I like taking my stuff to the show.
Yeah.
That does. Yeah. If it's one ever, then I'm satisfied with that. It could get packed away for all I care. It's all good.
Cool. Let's have a look. And we've still got no more questions on, so I'm going to crack on. I do love this question. Do you ever bring the hobby up to strangers?
All the time. As a matter
How do you break the ice?
Well, one time, and this has happened a couple of customers of mine. So I'm in the restoration business, so I'm working in people's homes all the time. So sometimes you'll see models sitting on the shelf, and this guy dabbles or whatever, and that's an icebreaker. But one day, what was I saying? I was talking about an airbrush for some reason, and then they're like, "Airbrush? What do you do with an airbrush?" And I'm like, "Oh, I build models." And they're like, "Oh, really?" Right. And then that came right out of the woodwork. They're like, "Oh, I build models too." And all of a sudden, out of the closet, all this Warhammer stuff's coming out. He's a 3D printer, all this kind of stuff.
That's something now.
And then
that's good.
Your shirt sometimes, your club shirt or whatever. People are like, "What's that?" Well, I built. And sometimes you're like, "Yeah, I build models."
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But most people, when you show them your work, some pictures or whatever, they're just like, "Holy crap." And the first thing they always say is, "I'd never have patience for that." Right. You hear that all the time.
All the time. Or the one that I get with that one, Rob, is I would have never have pictured you, because I'm 6'4" and I'm on the hefty side. So obviously they said I would never have pictured you doing that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. See, I'm only 5'8", so.
Okay, let me have a look. Oh, so actually, you've just kind of answered this next question, but let's dig a little bit deeper. And the question is very simple. Shows. Do you partake in shows?
Hell yes.
Hell yeah, straight up.
I actually just missed probably the biggest one in Alberta this year. It happened yesterday, but it was. Usually I go with a mate, right? And we split the costs and everything because it's a 5-hour drive and a hotel and all of that, right? So I didn't this year because he wasn't available, and I just didn't want to invest that kind of money to go by myself. You know what I mean? And yes, all the people there were a little disappointed that I didn't go, but that's just the way she goes. I put all my eggs into. I'm going to the Nationals in the U.S. this year, in Texas. And that's at the end of July, and that's going to be my.
That is a long way for you, mate.
Yeah, I'm flying in to another guy I've met online. I'm flying into his place, and then we're going for a 12-hour road trip to get there. So it's going to be
a flight and then a 12-hour road trip.
That's correct.
Holy shit!
Because it's going to cost me $100 in fuel versus an extra $600 in a flight to get there. So it was just made sense financially. But again, so now I'm going to get, going to be tucked into a car with a guy that I've only met online, but I think it's going to be fine.
It'd be cool.
It's going to be adventurous, get to see some of the U.S. via car. Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm just making every year that I've ever planned anything holiday wise, something's always come up and I could never do it. So this time I bought the ticket. I've got my passport. It's friggin' done. Going. I've got the time off. So
I love it.
Here's something I'm going to be there. But yes, I do enjoy the shows. The first couple of years that I went to the shows, people were like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Right? Because it's almost like a club within a club. They all knew each other, right?
Yeah.
And I had to get in there. So this guy just comes out of nowhere and starts taking rewards. They're like, what the hell is this? Who's this guy? Right. And then, you get a little bit of notoriety and then they're like, oh, now I'm part of the crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm an honorary member of every club around. So
cool. Like it.
I wasn't going to wear a hoodie for this interview, but it's like 30 degrees outside. So that's enough day.
Best bit of modeling advice that you've ever heard?
Best bit?
Yeah, and you can't have lid on.
Well, that's what. Always keep your lid on, even when you're not.
Always keep your lid on.
Yeah.
Mark Bridge knows all about keeping lid on. Best bit of modeling advice that you've ever used or ever heard?
I don't know. Patience.
I'm so pleased that you said that, mate. Now, when you get into the hobby or you come back into the hobby, patience is in the far off future because you, same as me, you get back into it and you literally build, paint, done, next, build, paint, done, and you can't appreciate the time and effort that you should put in when you're challenging yourself and you're looking at social media saying, why doesn't mine look like that?
Yeah. What do I got to do? Then you're turning to YouTube to figure out how to make it look like that. Right. And then like I've always said, if you try something new every build, all of a sudden your toolbox gets pretty full. Right. And you use everything that you've learned that work is successful, even if it's not successful, but it could be, you keep trying it. Those tools just automatically get added to your workflow. So naturally, every build takes a little bit longer because you're doing that little bit extra, but it's not, it needs it, right?
Yeah.
How do you not do it now that how and everything, right? So that's been the big thing, like when you first put a pin wash on, you're like, holy crap, why didn't I know about that before? Right? Well, now you do that next thing. Okay, well now how can I do streaks and everything? Oil paints,
Yeah.
grows and grows and grows from there. And eventually you will be happy with what you do if you put the time in. You got to put the time in, though.
Got to put the time in. What you've got a decent stash, I do believe. We call it a stash. However, what's the prize kit in that stash, Rob? The absolute holy grail that you're sat on at the moment?
200 scale Bismarck.
I know you were going to sell that. Now, I know that cost you a pretty penny.
Yes. I've got just as much into the aftermarket as I do into the kit itself. So, and I got a good smoking deal on both things. I'm into that kit for like $600, but you're not finding that kit or that stuff nowadays for anything less than probably $1,000. But
Bismarck,
5-foot long battleship, like it's
okay.
They take up much room. They're skinny. They're narrow.
Yeah. I saw Dave's Yamato yesterday, and that looks absolutely enormous. Okay, so so let's talk about me and you then, because we've known each other for a couple of years now. I know, and I'm sure you can, but let's share how our paths crossed. I'm sure that you can remember, mate.
124 Stuka.
Absolutely. So can you remember how that came around?
I think I was posting pictures of mine. I think I just finished it, or was I still working on it? I can't remember.
No, you'd finished it.
I'd finished it, and then all of a sudden you pinged me. Did you ping me on Messenger? I think you did.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then.
And I think I started sort of volleying questions towards you.
Yeah, what was good about the kit and all of that. I don't know if you'd started yours yet, did you? No, you were.
I don't actually think at that point, I can't remember exactly, but I'm swinging towards that I hadn't actually bought it then, because I'm a fast jet builder. And I think there must have been either a show coming up, or I'd got a bonus from work or something. When I were a young kid, obviously I started with the World War II genre, which is what a lot of people do, and wanted sort of like the RAF ones, but then saw. That's my lad. He's coming for a drink of pop. Obviously, when you've got Allied, you've got the opposition. And I'd always fancied a Stuka. Went onto Facebook, and lo and behold, saw your picture there, holding on to this absolute behemoth of an aeroplane, and I thought, Jesus Christ Almighty, what the bloody hell's that? Who is that? Who is that guy? And I'm going to start and talk to him.
Yeah, it was good, and we've been chatting ever since, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You. That's what brought us together. I'd started club, but then when we were talking, you were starting to talk about, a Facebook group, a club. Tell me how Model Makers Union came around then, mate.
Well, again, like I said earlier, it was just, I was part of a lot of groups and everything, and I seen a lot of bullshit going on in the groups that I didn't really care for. And I figured, well, there's nothing stopping me from making my own, right? So I did. And my, our MO has been the same ever since day one. Like, this is a safe place for everybody to come and just share your work, ask for criticism. If you ask for it, we'll give it to you. If you don't, you won't get it. It's simple as that. And anybody that's a total ass on there gets, well, we call it the Burt, because that's what the sound the A10 makes when it comes. Yeah, that's
get the birds.
That's the band hammer. It's the Burt. So if I say the A10's warming up on the tarmac, something's coming.
I like it. And then from the group, obviously, you made that Warthog emblem, didn't you, as well?
Actually, one of the guys in our club, he designed that, and it cost me a shirt. I gave him a free shirt for the logo, and so I've stuck with it. It's great. We did have a little logo contest, and the group voted, as they always do for everything, and that's the one that won, and that's the one I liked as well. So
cool. Cool beans. Okay, let me just have a look at the time. 49 minutes and 50 seconds. We've still got 12 people watching us live. So I think we've covered most of that. I'm going to come down to last question before we go back to the questions that anybody wants to ask, and just for a chill out 5 minutes. And I always ask this question. So, Robert, I am a manufacturer and I've got unlimited amounts of money. The kit can be a current sort of aircraft, tank, boat, ship, whatever you want. But what I want from you is, I'm a manufacturer, unlimited amounts of money. What kit am I going to mass produce for you? In what scale? What is it? And what's included? So we're talking, obviously, you know, if it were an aircraft, think about all your aftermarket stuff that you can get for that. If it were a piece of armor, would it have interior, brass turned barrel, etc., etc.? What would your dream kit be? In what scale?
Well, I think the world needs another 32nd scale A10. That's what I think.
Right, okay, but hang on, let me pause you there. So because it's unlimited amounts of money, you don't have to stay at 32. If you want to say to me, actually, I'd go to a 24 or even an 18.
Well, that would be, yeah, it'd be massive. That's for sure.
Right, okay, so that's the question. So yeah. I'm a manufacturer. You can have any kit in any scale. Okay, what am I building for you? What am I mass producing for you, mate?
Yeah, I'd probably go with a 24 scale A10. With all the bells and whistles. Like, I want every friggin' hose on the landing gear struts. I want, metal barrels. I want accurate ordnance, preferably cast in one piece so that I don't have to friggin' glue everything together.
Okay.
You know,
rubber tires, I'm guessing.
Rubber tires are fine, yeah.
And which manufacturer would I need to be to produce that for you?
Tamiya.
Why?
Because they're, well, again, I guess I shouldn't say too much, but I know that Tamiya make probably some of the best aircraft kits out there. That if there's anybody up for the challenge, it would be them.
And what about so when we're talking about you know, your box standard, so you'd have metal landing gear, rubber tires. What about would you like me to throw some very easy electronics in there to like that dash up for you?
Not necessarily, because not unless there's a pilot in there, which I wouldn't put a pilot in there because then you would lose all your cockpit detail. But generally the planes aren't on unless someone's in it. So my screens inside are usually blank anyways. I didn't
know you did that.
Yeah. And so even Red Fox Studios, they sent me the cockpit set for the Apache that I'm working on. And it comes with both options. You can have it lit up or blacked out. And that's who I would get. Yeah. Tamiya, you need to get a hold of Red Fox Studios so that they can do your cockpit instruments for you. Perfect.
Okay.
See that set for your Tornado?
Yeah, Tornado. Yeah. I think you still got that set for me?
Yeah. Here.
You need my address. As far as, let me just have a quick look through my book. We've covered the start. We've covered the middle. What you got back into, how you got back into it, your favorite kits, where you build, what you build, when you build, your dream kits. Last question. And this is another interesting one. Okay. Who do you follow on social media?
My favorite YouTube guy, like, of all time is probably Plasmo. The guy's just, it's mind bending what that guy can do. Especially when you watch his Yamato video or his Bismarck video of the 1/700 scale with like every friggin' piece of photo etch you could ever imagine. It's insane.
Yeah.
And he builds all kinds of stuff, right? He doesn't just build one thing. He builds everything. So there's a little something for everyone.
Yeah.
So He's probably my favorite of all time. As soon as he pops a video up, it's going on my page. Watch this. He just did a 1/72nd scale Viper helicopter, which is freaking amazing. He redid every rivet on it. Other than that, I like. Everybody likes Night Shift for armor modeling. He's good.
Never got into him.
No. He's kind of slowed down a bit. I like Prime Model Works. He does very nice stuff. He hasn't done anything in a little while though, so I hope. And I like Doug's models.
I like Doug's models. Yeah, it makes me bossed. We've had with a chap on here that's watching called Johnny, and he says, and I think he's referring to the any kit, any scale type of thing question. He says a 118 P51D Mustang and a 1 in 24 F18.
Oh, a 1 in 24th F18, that would be a massive kit too. Holy.
Yeah, you're looking at a couple of meters long there, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, and you can get those things in RC form, you know what I mean? But they're not. It's not a detailed scale model. It's meant to fly, right?
Yeah. Have you done any RC, Rob?
Me personally, no. That's too rich for my blood. That's a very, very expensive hobby. Just to take it up and have all those hours and all that money go. It's the fun.
Yeah, I've seen countless videos, and you're quite right, where things haven't gone quite according to plan.
Yeah, so
very expensive hobby, and I think that you need a little bit of insurance for that. Are you guys doing what? You guys normally do like a group building stuff. Have you got anything on at the moment?
No, I don't have one going at the moment. Thank God. I'm just taking a little bit of a break because I actually want to build something for me this time instead of. I participate in all the group builds, so that was kind of consuming me for quite a while, and that's why I would just try and get them out of the way as quickly as possible, and just 3 months long group builds. They it's fun and everything, and I've had great sponsors sponsoring prizes, all kinds of stuff. Like, these aren't just for fun. There's actually stuff up for grabs.
Yeah.
But I've just been taking a little bit of a break. And I've always said, if somebody else wants to run the group build and do it, then they can pick the theme. But so far, nobody's stepped up to the plate. It's a lot of work to run.
It is a lot of work. Yeah, it's something that we don't particularly do well. Well, not well. We don't particularly do down at our club. Is we don't bother with them, mate.
Yeah, they're fun, right? And trying to come up with a theme that's inclusive so that car guys can join in, plane guys, tank guys, whatever, right? So it'd be something broad, like we did the animal group build. So whatever it is has to be named after an animal or nicknamed after an animal. So that, you can think of anything that's named after an animal, right? So coming up with those themes, there's only
Panther, eagle, tomcat.
Yeah, all of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely anything.
Yeah. And then we did when COVID first started. That was the very first group build, and it was the 14-day lockdown group build. So it was 2 weeks when we're all supposed to just stay home for 2 weeks, not 2 years, and that's how that all happened. And then it just grew from there. So.
Yeah, are you guys still meeting down at that shop periodically?
Avalon Hobbies, yeah. Every other week we meet there.
All right. How many people do you get going in there?
We got about 7 steady eddies. Sometimes new people show up, sometimes they don't. But it's not a huge club by any means. It's more of a means for us. It's like the book club for the ladies, right?
Yeah.
You go there and you have some hand session. You might glue some stuff together. I never build at them because I'm not into packing up all my stuff.
Yeah, mate. We've had a late question from Dave House. Rob, have you ever done vignettes and dioramas?
The closest thing to a vignette, I guess, would be the Freddy Krueger that I did with all the stuff that I built. No, I haven't. I don't have a lot of access to a lot of diorama supplies here. Avalon doesn't really carry much for that. So, and that's a whole nother genre in the hobby. Like, you got to collect so much stuff.
So you've never messed with that, like realistic water and things like that?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, it's definitely on my list of things to do as I get going here. I was actually laying in bed last night thinking, oh, what kind of a base could I put this tractor on? And, you know, what would I do with it and stuff? So it's definitely something I want to get into. It does elevate your models, you know, as long as you do a good job. If you put a good model in a crappy base, though, you know, but you're never gonna learn until you do it. So that's
okay
on my list of things to try. It's just getting the materials to do it. So,
oh, that answers your question, Rob. Fast jets, World War II. Rob, what you got? Have you done fast jets, World War II?
Both.
Yeah, obviously the Stoker. What have we done with fast jets? Because I know that you've built some really big scale. I think 1 in 32. Are we talking some Russian stuff at the moment?
Yeah, flanker. It's not finished yet. Yeah, it's a big model.
Big bird. Trumpeter.
Yeah, that's trumpeter as well. It's got 3.5 inches in length. It's 3.5 inches longer than the F-14. So it's a big,
wow.
It's a big plane. Right beside that, I've got a 32nd scale F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter.
Do you know what? I can't remember seeing that finished. Did that get finished?
No, they're both staring at me right here. They both need landing gear.
That's why I've not seen it finished, obviously. And what about your World War II bombers? Have we done any of those?
Nope, not bombers. I've just done fighter jets or fighter planes. Oh, well, I've done an ME-262, so I guess that's a fast jet. Yeah,
kind of, yeah.
Back in the day it was.
Yeah, definitely.
And then yeah, prop planes mostly, as far as that goes. I do enjoy the jets. They're a lot of work though, especially all the weapons and everything. Like I still have yet to go with your method of doing the ordnance first, and I should start.
Get it done, mate. Get it out of the way. And what's sort of like in the future now? A minute and an hour and 2 minutes into the live stream. What are we looking at in the next 6 months, 12 months? Have you got any big plans for the next year?
I'm going to try and finish all these things that aren't quite done rather than keep building the big one that I'm really interested in right now is the Apache. It's just the decals that come with the kit are very, very, very terrible. And so there's a couple aftermarket companies that are just starting to release stuff now. So I'm not going to carry on with that until I have those.
Is that the Academy one?
No, it's the TACOM kit.
All right. What scale is that?
35th.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Which one? What? Yeah. What? I thought you'd done one with the shark's mouth. That were an Academy one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a 35th scale as well. That's the AH-1Z Viper.
Viper, wasn't it? Yeah, I was looking at that myself. How did that go together, mate?
That's a brilliant kit. Just get it. You'll love it. Built 2 of them. The last one I did was the one that I did with all the Decepticon logos and everything on it. Like it was a Transformer.
Yeah, I can remember that, mate. And again, chatting with Dave yesterday, talking about the big show that happens in the UK, the IPMS Scale Model World at Telford in November. I think there's about 16, maybe 18 lads and lasses from Sesco who are going to that show. And we're all saving up like crazy. For me, the Tamiya F-14 is definitely on the radar. The Tamiya F-15 is a kit that I'd definitely like to pick up. And maybe another Spitfire, because that Airfix 1 in 24 Spitfire is absolutely lush. And I've already worked out that I'll probably need about $1,000 to go down there with me in November.
You do know that the F-14 has the raised panel lines and everything, right? It's an older kit.
I do, mate. Yeah, it's just, you know, when I look at what I've built, I've actually missed this question off. I'll get back to you in a minute. When I look at what I've built, I need a 1 in 32 F-14. Question for you. Okay. Question. I love this question. Obviously, all your kits that you've got in your cabinets that you've built, etc., etc. What 3 kits that represent the evolution of not war machines, but either aircraft or tanks or a mix and match or whatever? What 3 kits would you say that you got to have built in your lifetime?
That shows the evolution?
Yeah, so for me, mate, and loads of other people on Spotlight Star, some have gone for something like a Spitfire, then they've said a Harrier jump jet, and then they've said a stealth fighter. Somebody else might have said the Wright Flyer, then a Concorde, then a space shuttle that's shown just how far it's come. Some people have said you have to do a Lancaster. You've got to have built a Lancaster bomber. You've got to have built a Chieftain tank, and you've got to have built. Let me have a look. Got to have built an F4 Phantom, for example. What 3 kits have you got to build while you're a modeler?
Oh, that you have to build. Okay, I thought you.
Oh yeah, mate.
I thought you were talking like what I've already built.
No, what have you got? What if there's a young kid watching this video now and you'll say, dude, in your aircraft hangar, in your display space, you have got to have one of these, and one of these. What are we looking at?
I would say probably a Spitfire for sure for aircraft, or
right
like that. Definitely a Tiger 1 or a Panther or even a King Tiger as far as armor goes. And then, you know, you could maybe get into, again, like the jets, like the 262. That's an iconic aircraft with quite the story that goes behind how it was made. Yeah.
No Lancaster bomber in there, Rob.
I guess I don't really have a desire to build a Lancaster bomber.
Yes, but it's not the desire that you've got. You are now saying to a young kid at sort of like 12, 13, you've taken him under your wing at Model Makers Union, and you've said, listen, come here. Right. I know that in the next sort of 10 years, you're going to build 100 kits. In that 10 years, you have got to build one of these and one of these and one of these, because they are so significant in world history.
Yeah, no. So I'm sticking with my original ones. I suppose a Lancaster would fit into that bill for sure. We actually have a show that we go to. It's every other year, and it's at a bomber museum, and they pull a Lancaster out into the parking lot and flash it all up. All 4 engines are running. There's a video of it on my YouTube channel. And it's amazing, and you can walk through it and sit in the cockpit and everything. It's amazing. So yeah, as far as iconic goes, yeah, that's definitely high on the list. I would say that the F-14 is high on the list too, just for the fame that it's achieved, right?
Yeah, because obviously you look at that plane, the first thing you think of is, I feel the need for speed.
That's right. Top Gun, right?
Top Gun, what a classic.
After Top Gun came out, they never had so many people wanting to join the Air Force.
I'll tell you what you've missed. What about the brrrr?
Well, see, the great story about the A-10 is they're like, hey, we got this gun. Now we need to make it fly, right? They invented the gun before they invented the plane. So, and that's... Is
the A-10 on that? Hey, kid, you've got to build. Are we putting A-10 in?
Not the trumpeter one, but sure.
Maybe not. Well, it wouldn't have to be that scale. It could be the Italieri Black Snakes A10, which is a fantastic kit. That's a great kit.
Academy's just released one in 48 scale too, which looks amazing. So I've yet to get my hands on it, and 48 scale isn't normally my thing, but I'm buying that kit for sure.
You're buying that kit for sure?
Yes.
Now, so does that mean that you don't just build one in 32s? Because our friend Paul from Liverpool,
yes,
who's got this sort of thing in his head that he can only build one in 48 choppers and one in 32 aircraft. And I said to him regularly, I said, what? You ought to build one of these. And the first thing he says back to me, Rob, is it available in 132? And I go, no, it's not. Oh, well, I'm not interested then. But it wouldn't bother you?
No. I've got plenty of 148 scale stuff in my stash. It's just not, I like the bigger scales better, but I'm going, again, as you start running out of room, you got to start thinking about ways around that, right? And with modern kits nowadays, I think the 148 is plenty fine, especially big planes, right? Because they take up room. So I've got no problems with doing 148. I've even done 72nd scale armor. I'm not a fan of that. That's too small. I mean, it looks neat when you put a full tank beside a glue bottle and it's smaller than the glue bottle, but
yeah. Okay.
The 72nd Apache, and I bet you I could build a 35th scale one faster. It was a lot of work.
Really?
It was a lot of work, that little thing. That's also an Academy kit, which is very nice.
Cool. All right. Okay. Tidy. Have you enjoyed your chat?
Very much so.
Finally managed to do a spotlight start. We've had, I think, with the most that we've had watching this evening is 15, which is not a reflect. Don't worry about that, mate. That's not a reflection on how many people are going to watch it. I will share this onto my YouTube. And then I will send the link to you. In fact, you can find it obviously anyway. I'm going to let you put that onto Model Makers Union, and you can absolutely big yourself up as much as you like. Okay. I know that you won't have any trouble doing that, and it's been great to have your company, mate. I just want to say thanks to everybody that's asked the questions. Let me just have a look and make sure, before we wrap it up, that I haven't missed any, and I don't think I have. We've covered it.
One other shameless plug I'm going to do is I'm now a host on a podcast called the Modeling Insanity Podcast. We just recorded the first episode with me. It's episode number 2. So if you guys want to, and that's a whole nother world of ball breaking and all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're interested in checking out that, if you listen to podcasts,
I must admit, yesterday when I was on my tea break at work, and obviously, unfortunately, I can't screen share at the moment, but my last Google search was how to start a podcast. But we're not going to go down there because I've only just started doing live stream on YouTube. Johnny has popped a question up, and again, this one's for you, Rob, and it's simply, what is Robert's channel?
Model Makers Union.
So onto YouTube, type in Model Makers Union, boom, you're in.
Yeah, my videos are kind of I don't do much editing. They're a one take wonder. That's what I call myself. My boy is usually my cameraman, and we've had some good times. I did the inbox review of the Bismarck, and that video hit like 88,000 views or something. And then my most recent one was a video talking about this new TACOM Apache. That one's got 4,000 views, over 4,000 views. But don't expect any big production there. It's not big production. It's just me talking about whatever I happen to be talking about at the time. So we're getting there. I've got new lights and stuff being installed this summer in this room, and then I can start setting up proper. just to get that going. But again, like, it's like if you start doing all this social media stuff all the time, where do you have time to build?
Tell me about it.
Right.
Thanks a lot for your chat. I'm going to end the broadcast. Don't go away. Just because I end the broadcast doesn't mean that we stop chatting. I'm just going to wrap up with you. Johnny says, same as mine, zero editing. Johnny, Rob is an absolutely fantastic guy, both personally, model building, personal guy, and on YouTube and Facebook. I implore you to go and find him and go and have a look at what he's done. Rob, thank you very much for being my spotlight star this evening. I can finally tick you off the box. Job's a good one. Job's a good one. I will end the broadcast and then I will share it. It will automatically get shared to my YouTube, and then I shall pass the link on to you, mate, for your guys to hook up on and let them watch the Hearts content.
Awesome. Oh, that's been great.
Okay, thank you very much. Cheers, everybody, and I'll catch you next time. You're going to see me big fat finger now as I go to end the broadcast. Rob, I'll see you in a minute. Stay right there.
Sounds good, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.